I'm Madeline. This is going to be a 15-minute gentle yoga stretch. You're going to want to have a mat or something laid down on the floor for this one, and you're also going to want to have a blanket. So I have a yoga blanket. These are pretty typical. Any size blanket will work. You can also use a couple pillows, just something soft for a little extra padding, a little bit of extra support. So once you've got something soft and your mat and 15 minutes to yourself, I'll meet you down on your mat. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Comfortable seat. Quick note, you can leave socks on for this one because we're not gonna be standing, so if, like me, you get cold feet, feel free to hang out. So hands alongside, inhale, roll the shoulders up. Exhale, roll them back and down. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale up. Exhale, release. Inhale to shrug. And exhale to release. Go ahead and transition yourself around to tabletop, hands and knees. So stacking here, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. We'll get a little bit of movement going into the spine. Your toes can be tucked or flat. You just want them to be tucked behind your knees. And as you inhale, let the belly fall, squeeze the shoulder blades, take the gaze up. Exhale, press into the palms, curl chin to chest, and find your cat. So the inhale arcs the belly, gaze to the sky, and the exhale rounds and draws back. We'll take a few more rounds like that. Depending on your body, you can keep going just like this, or you can start to circle out the hips, circle out the shoulders. And then inhale, come to neutral in the spine. Walk your knees out a little bit wider, bring your big toes towards one another and start to slide back to a child's pose. Now here you can take a blanket underneath your heels or underneath your ankles if you need a little bit of support. Maybe just melting the heart down. It might touch the mat, it might not. You can also bring your blanket here for a little bit of support. We'll be here for a moment, resting down, gently stretching into the inner thighs. Some bodies prefer a child's pose with the knees together. Some bodies prefer it with the knees even wider. So feel free to play around with what's best for the shape of your hips. On an inhale, come up onto your fingertips. Keep pressing the sit bones back, and exhale, walk the fingertips over to the left. So you're lengthening out the right side of the body. Keep sliding the right sit bone back and find length all along the right side, the intercostal muscles, the hip. And inhale to draw back to center, and exhale to take the hands over to the right, lengthening out the left side. Sit the left sit bone back. And inhale, come through center. Round the palms, roll the body forward, back to tabletop. Lock the knees in just a little bit. They don't have to come all the way underneath the hips. Tuck the toes and press hips towards heels. So maybe you go back quite far, maybe you don't. Little stretch for the bottoms of the feet. I like to walk the hands forward a little bit here too. Really melt my heart towards the earth. And inhale to roll the body forward. If you're using your blanket, have it nearby. And exhale, slide the knees back, come all the way down to the belly. So from here, I'm gonna take my blanket, I'm gonna unfold it once. This is about a good thickness for me. Again, you might be completely different, so play around with it. It's gonna come off to the right side of the mat. And we're gonna turn the right knee and toes out and drag the knee up onto the blanket. So the reason I like to have the blanket here is because I'm on a hard floor. With my knee off the mat, this gets a little uncomfortable. So that's where I'm gonna hang out. If you find you don't need a blanket, you don't need the blanket. From here, start to slide a little further down to the belly. You can take your chin or your forehead to the back of the top hand. You can turn your cheek to either side. And we'll just rest here for a few minutes, actually, really just sitting in stillness here. If there's little tweaks that you need to make, feel free to take them. Other than that, just let yourself relax. You might notice here how it feels to have the belly pressing against the earth as you breathe. maybe you shorten the breath a little bit to accommodate for that. You feel like you want to play around with the leg a little bit. Maybe you drag the knee out a little further away from the body. Maybe it's a little much and you draw it a little back in. Notice if the breath has changed a little bit here. Is that because of the pressure on the belly? Is it because of the long hold? Is it because of sensation? If you have no idea, that's okay too. Let's go ahead and slowly start to slide the right leg back to meet the left. You can just keep the legs long behind you, or you can bend the knees and let the shins drape a little bit side to side. Possibly just noticing how your body feels. And then stretch the legs back behind you. And if you want to use that blanket, which I certainly do, go ahead and switch it around to the other side. So for me, dragging it over to the left, about where my knee is gonna be when I take it out to the side. Then I turn this left knee and toe out, and I just drag the knee up in line with the hip. Again, blanket can be as high or as low as you need it. You might slide it in or out. You might not need it, especially if you're on carpet. From here, find a little bit of lift into the spine, and then just let it all go melt down towards the earth. Chin, forehead, cheek. Feel free to play around with the shapes here. Everybody is gonna be a little bit different. We're all structured differently. In addition to how our joints and bones are put together, we've all got different levels of muscle tension, stress in the fascia, all that good stuff. Last few breaths here. Maybe you want to lengthen it out just by one beat on the inhale, one beat on the exhale. And as you feel ready, gently slide the left knee back to meet the right. Again, you can stay down on the belly. Stillness, you can let the knees sway left to right. And then stretch the legs back long behind you. Take the hands alongside the shoulders, press yourself up towards a tabletop position, coming back to hands and knees. And let's take a few rounds of cat-cow here. So inhaling to arc, feeling the pelvis tilt back. Exhaling to round, really tucking the pelvis forward as you curl. The inhale finds that arc. The exhale rounds. One more. And then come to neutral in the spine. Sit off to one side and swing the legs around in front of you. This one you may choose to use the blanket for, you may choose not to, just depends on your body. We're gonna take the legs out wider than the mat. And beyond that, it's up to you. So some people like to go all the way out, some people a little bit in like this is kind of my happy point. And what happens here is just sit up for a moment and notice if it feels like you're using so much of your core to sit up that you can barely focus on anything else. Notice if it feels like your lower back is kind of sinking and you're kind of stuck a little bit, the front ribs pulling down. If that's the case, you're gonna grab your blanket. I like to do it folded one more time. So I like to do it like this. And I'm gonna use this to tilt my hips down. So I'm gonna sit right on the edge of the blanket. So it takes a little finagling, but I'm literally just gonna scooch, and there my hips are tilted down. And this makes it a little easier for me to fold forward without using all my energy just to keep the lower back straight. So from here, we'll inhale, reach the fingertips up, and then exhale, reach forward. Maybe you just keep reaching forward, but chances are you're gonna wanna relax those fingers down. If you happen to have other props, you have blocks that you like to use, you're welcome to use those. Try to keep this one a little simple. And you can always bend the elbows if you're flexy enough. Hands can be walked further in or further out. The inhale, just imagine a little bit more length, tailbone to crown, and the exhale, just imagine softening down towards the earth. Check in with if you're holding tension anywhere here. So there's places that we are probably gonna feel tension here. The backs of the legs for one, the lower back might be another. There's places that maybe we don't need to feel tension, that maybe aren't gonna help this pose. Places like the shoulders, the fingers, the neck, the face. And if you find yourself holding onto tension there, see if on your next exhale you can imagine just releasing that out. Maybe even on an inhale, you intentionally lean into that tension, squeeze, and then exhale, relax that away. See if you can let go. Inhale to roll the body up. Slide the legs together or towards together, shake them out a little bit. If you're up on the mat, you can scoot yourself off. We've got one final pose using the blanket, and this does not have to be perfect. Again, everyone's gonna have a different size blanket. What I like to do from this size is I like to roll it, make a nice long sausage roll. And this is gonna go behind us, right about where the bra band is if you wear a bra. If you don't wear a bra, make your best guess. It's gonna go right back, and we're just gonna lay down onto that. So your legs can be out straight, they can be bent. I'm gonna stretch the arms back overhead. That feels good for me, but feel free to take the arms to the side as well. Maybe you find you need to adjust a little bit where that blanket is. Ideally, it feels like it's just lifting your heart a little bit, but the hips can stay down to the mat. Again, legs doing whatever you'd like, straight, bent. Some people might even do feet together, knees wide here. If you'd like to close the eyes, or just let the gaze soften. have a little bit more time and you'd like to give yourself a quick rest, you can just move the blanket out of the way, bring yourself down to your back, and take a shavasana with the legs out long, the arms wide. If you don't have that time, or you're just kind of ready to come back up, we'll gently come out of this. I think the easiest way for my body is to roll to one side and then use my top arm to lift up and away from that blanket. But there's of course many other ways that you could get there. And find a seat. It can be where you started, but it certainly doesn't have to be. And let's take a moment to just check in, to say, how do I feel? What do I feel? And then guide the hands together at heart center, bow your chin towards your chest. Take a moment of gratitude for your choice to practice today, for your dedication to do something for you. Namaste.
Hey guys, my name is Bake McBride. I am the Assistant Manager and Group Fitness Director here at Move by BJC. And I want to thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to join us for this session. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, you can jump on the website at www.movebybjc.org, or you can give us a call, 314-286-0525. Thanks again.